There is a battle happening every day, not always on the outside, but within. A battle of emotions, ego, and power. And in this battle, your greatest enemy is not the one who opposes you, but the one who controls your mind, your emotions, and your energy. Most people believe that to defeat an enemy you must fight, that to win you must strike back harder. But the truth is, the greatest victories are won without lifting a finger. Because real power does not come from destruction, it comes from mastery. Have you ever noticed that those who seek to harm you, those who try to bring you down, always expect a reaction? They feed on your anger, your frustration, your retaliation. The moment you engage, you've already lost. Not because you are weak, but because you've allowed them to pull you into their game. But what if you refused to play? What if, instead of reacting, you remained unshaken? Silence is a weapon. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of power. When someone insults you and you do not respond, they lose control. When someone tries to break you and you stand firm, they feel powerless. This is the first step to defeating an enemy without fighting, denying them the fuel they need to keep attacking. The second step is transformation. The energy of hatred, jealousy, and negativity thrown at you can either destroy you or elevate you. The choice is yours. Instead of wasting energy on revenge, channel it into growth. Become so strong, so capable, so successful that their attacks become meaningless. There was once a wise master who was constantly insulted by a man in his village. Every day the man hurled words of hatred at him, trying to provoke a reaction. But the master never responded. One day a student asked, "Why do you allow him to insult you without saying anything?" The master smiled and replied, "If someone offers you a gift but you refuse to accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" Your enemy's words, their actions, their intentions, these are all gifts. If you refuse to accept them, they remain with the giver. Do not carry the weight of someone else's hatred. Leave it where it belongs. But silence alone is not always enough. The third strategy is to use patience as a weapon. A wise warrior does not rush into battle. He waits, observes, and allows the enemy to destroy themselves. When someone is consumed by anger and resentment, they are already at war with themselves. If you simply stand back, they will eventually fall by their own doing. Time reveals everything. The one who seeks to destroy you today will often be the one who destroys themselves tomorrow. Your job is not to fight. It is to outlast. The fourth strategy is unpredictability. The more predictable you are, the easier it is for your enemy to control you. If they know your weaknesses, they will exploit them. If they know what angers you, they will provoke you. But when you become unpredictable, when they cannot read your emotions, when they do not know your next move, you become untouchable. Move in silence. Let your success remain unseen until it becomes undeniable. The most dangerous person is not the one who flaunts their strength, but the one who conceals it until the moment is right. And finally, the fifth and most powerful strategy: elevate yourself so high that you have no enemies. When your mind is free, when your energy is strong, when your vision is clear, no one can stand against you. Not because they fear you, but because they no longer matter. When a lion walks through the jungle, does it stop for every barking dog? Number, because it knows who it is. When you know your worth, when you realize that no enemy is worth your energy, you rise beyond them. The power of inner stability. If you truly want to destroy your enemies, do not fight them. Master yourself. Be so focused on your growth that they become invisible. Be so committed to your purpose that their words fade into the background. Be so powerful in your silence that their attacks dissolve into nothing. And in the end, you will realize there was never a battle to fight, because true power is not in defeating others. It is in rising so high that no one can reach you. There was once a man who sought the wisdom of a great master. He had spent his entire life chasing success, relationships, and recognition, yet he felt restless and burdened. No matter how much he achieved, it was never enough. The more he tried to hold on to things, people, wealth, status, the more they seemed to slip away. Frustrated and exhausted, he finally asked the master, "Why do I feel so empty despite having everything?" The master smiled and handed him a cup of tea. As he poured, the tea began to overflow, spilling onto the floor. The man jumped back, startled. The master looked at him and said, "This is your mind, full, overflowing, grasping, yet unable to hold anything more. Until you learn to let go, you will never be free." Most people live in a constant state of attachment to success, relationships, and validation. They hold on so tightly, fearing loss, that they do not realize they are suffocating the very things they love. They believe control brings security. But in reality, control only brings suffering. Because life is not something you can grasp. It flows, it changes, it evolves. Those who understand this do not fear loss. They know that real strength lies in detachment. The art of detachment. Detachment does not mean indifference. It does not mean running away from responsibilities or becoming emotionless. It means engaging fully in life, with the wisdom to know that nothing is permanent. A warrior fights with all his heart, yet does not mourn the battlefield. A river flows with strength, yet does not cling to the stones it passes. This is the art of detachment, to give your best to the moment, yet remain free from the outcome. Imagine a man who plants a tree. He nurtures it, waters it, protects it from storms. But if one day the tree withers, he does not break down in despair. He understands that his duty was to care for it, not to control its destiny. The same applies to everything in life. Your work, your relationships, your dreams. Do your best, but do not be owned by the result. The wisdom of impermanence. There is a story of an ancient king who ruled over a vast kingdom. He had everything, power, wealth, servants at his command. Yet deep inside, he was always anxious, always afraid of losing what he had built. One day, a sage visited his court and gifted him a simple ring with an inscription, "This too shall pass." The king was puzzled, but the sage explained, "Wear this at all times. When you are in sorrow, read it. When you are in joy, read it." Years passed. The king faced moments of great triumph and deep loss. Each time he looked at the ring and remembered, "This too shall pass." Slowly, he began to understand. Neither success nor failure is permanent. He learned to embrace each moment with gratitude, but without attachment. And for the first time, he felt peace. The strength of the unshaken. Most people live in extremes, either clinging desperately to pleasure or drowning in sorrow. But detachment teaches you that both are temporary. If something brings you happiness, enjoy it fully, but do not fear its end. If something brings you pain, endure it with patience, for it too shall pass. A person who has mastered detachment is unshakable. When others panic, they remain calm. When others are consumed by desire, they remain focused. They are like a mountain, standing firm, unmoved by the storms of life. This is true power, not in controlling the world, but in being free from its control. Imagine walking through a marketplace filled with treasures, beautiful sights, and tempting offers. You admire everything, but you do not feel the need to own them. You appreciate the beauty yet remain free. This is how life should be lived, with full experience, but without chains. Many people mistake attachment for love, but true love is free. If you love someone, let them be who they are. If you love your work, do it with passion, but do not let failure define you. Because real strength is not in holding on. It is in letting go, mastering silence to control your emotions. If you love success, pursue it, but do not let it define you. Because the moment you need something to be happy, you have given it power over you. The mind that clings is always restless. The mind that lets go is always free. If you have something, cherish it. If you lose something, move forward with grace. Life is like the ocean. Waves will rise and waves will fall. But if you learn to surf the waves instead of fighting them, you will never drown. There is great strength in knowing that nothing in this world truly belongs to you. The only thing you own is your inner state, your ability to remain peaceful regardless of the chaos outside. And when you reach this state, you will realize true happiness does not come from possession, but from freedom. The power of perceived weakness. There was once a boy born with only one arm. He wanted to learn judo, but many discouraged him, saying he could never compete with those who had two strong arms. Undeterred, he found a master who agreed to train him. But the master taught him only one move. Day after day, month after month, the boy practiced that one move relentlessly. Confused, he asked, "Master, shouldn't I learn more techniques?" The master only smiled and said, "Just keep practicing." After a year of training, the master entered him into a competition. The boy was nervous, but when the fights began, he executed the single move with precision, winning match after match. In the final round, his opponent was bigger and stronger. The crowd doubted him, but when the moment came, he used the same move and won the tournament. Astonished, the boy asked his master, "How did I win with just one move?" The master replied, "Because the only defense against that move is to grab your opponent's right arm, and you don't have one." What seemed like his greatest weakness became his ultimate strength, transforming weakness into strength. Most people spend their lives trying to hide their weaknesses, pretending they don't exist. They fear being judged, rejected, or seen as inferior. But what if the very thing you consider a disadvantage is the key to your greatest power? What if your setbacks, your struggles, and your failures are not barriers but stepping stones? History is filled with those who turned their weaknesses into strengths. Beethoven, one of the greatest composers of all time, lost his hearing. Instead of seeing it as a limitation, he relied on the vibrations of the piano to create music that still moves the world today. Helen Keller, who was both deaf and blind, became a symbol of resilience, changing the way the world views disability. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, proving that persistence is more powerful than failure. These people did not let their struggles define them. Instead, they used them as fuel to rise above. A person who has never faced hardship remains untested, but a person who has battled challenges and found a way forward is unstoppable. Weakness is only weakness when you allow it to defeat you. The moment you decide to own it, to transform it, it becomes your strength. The path of transformation. A caterpillar may see its cocoon as a prison, a place of confinement, but inside, transformation is taking place. When it emerges, it is no longer a crawling creature. It has wings. If you see your struggles, fears, and limitations as a prison, they will hold you down. But if you see them as a place of transformation, they will lift you up. The person who lacks confidence in public speaking can either avoid every opportunity or train relentlessly until they become an exceptional speaker. The person who is physically weak can either complain or build incredible strength through effort. The person who grew up in poverty can either feel sorry for themselves or use their hunger to achieve greatness. Every weakness holds within it the seed of strength. The question is, will you nurture it? Will you take what seems like a flaw and turn it into an advantage? A diamond is nothing more than carbon that has been under immense pressure. The same pressure that could break it is what makes it shine. Your challenges are shaping you, refining you, molding you into something greater. If you resist, you remain ordinary. But if you embrace them, you become extraordinary. The next time you feel weak, the next time you think you are not good enough, ask yourself, how can I turn this into my greatest power? Because nothing in this world can stop the person who has learned to turn their obstacles into opportunities, transforming weakness into strength. You were never meant to stay small. You were never meant to let your struggles define you. Your journey is one of transformation. The moment you stop seeing weakness as a curse and start using it as a tool for growth, you become truly unstoppable. The silent warrior. There was once a great warrior, one who never fought a single battle with brute force. Yet, he never lost. His opponents feared him, not because of his strength, but because of his silence. When he entered the battlefield, he observed his enemies and said nothing. While others shouted, threatened, and acted in haste, he remained calm, unmoved, waiting. His strategy was never to react, but to respond with precision. One day, a young challenger filled with arrogance mocked him in front of a crowd. The warrior simply smiled and walked away. The challenger grew angrier. He followed the warrior, insulted him, provoked him, yet still, the warrior said nothing. Days passed. The challenger, consumed by his own anger, exhausted himself. The warrior never lifted a weapon, yet he had already won. The power of silence and strategy. Most people believe victory comes from aggression, from proving their strength, from fighting every battle that comes their way. But true power is not in reacting. It is in knowing when to act, how to act, and most importantly, when to remain silent. Silence is not weakness. Silence is control. It is the ability to hold back when the world pushes you to react. It is the ability to observe, learn, and strike only when the time is right. A lion does not waste its energy chasing every noise in the jungle. It waits, it watches, and when the moment is perfect, it moves with precision. True strength lies in restraint. How many times have people tried to provoke you? How many times have you wasted energy proving yourself to those who do not matter? The one who argues, who shouts the loudest, who fights over every little thing, is not strong. They are controlled by their emotions. The one who is silent, who calculates their steps, who speaks only when necessary, holds true power. History has shown that the greatest victories were not won by force alone, but by patience, intelligence, and restraint. The greatest warriors were not those who swung their swords at every opportunity, but those who knew when to keep their sword sheathed. A samurai was once asked, "What is the most powerful weapon?" He replied, "The mind that does not react." This is strategy. This is wisdom. Mastering the art of silence. A person who masters silence does not waste words on meaningless battles. They do not engage in unnecessary conflicts. They understand. Energy must be conserved. Focus must be sharp. Words must be used like a blade, precisely and only when necessary. The one who cannot remain silent is a slave to their emotions. They are easily manipulated, easily provoked, easily defeated. But the one who stays silent when others expect them to react, they are the ones who control the game. Silence is power in every aspect of life. Imagine being in a negotiation where the other person expects you to plead, argue, or react emotionally. But instead, you remain composed. You listen, and you say only what is necessary. Who has the power in that situation? Not the one who talks too much, but the one who speaks the least, yet controls the direction of the conversation. This applies to every aspect of life. Checkmark. In relationships, the one who reacts emotionally to every situation loses influence, but the one who remains calm, chooses their words carefully, and listens more than they speak, this person holds true strength. In business, the one who rushes to prove themselves and panics under pressure loses their position, but the one who waits, watches, and acts with strategy, that person dominates. Your strength is in your silence. The world will test you. People will try to provoke you. Circumstances will try to shake you. But if you learn to master silence, you will never be controlled by anything outside of you. And when the time comes to speak or act, you will do so not out of emotion but out of power. Because true strength is not in how loudly you roar, but in how silently you stand, unshaken. The secret of unstoppable people. The person who observes, who acts with strategy, who does not waste energy on small battles, rises to the top. In life, The loudest person is often the weakest. The one who complains, argues, constantly seeks validation. That person does not control their destiny. But the one who moves in silence, who builds without announcing, who strategizes without exposing their plans, that person is truly powerful. Silence is not weakness, it's precision. Silence is not about doing nothing. It is about knowing exactly when to act. The strongest warriors, the greatest leaders, the most successful individuals, all understand this. Reacting in the heat of the moment leads to mistakes, but moving with intention leads to victory. There is an old saying, never let them know your next move. The world is watching you, waiting for you to expose your weaknesses, react emotionally, act without thinking. But if you master the art of silence and strategy, you become untouchable. Let others waste their energy in noise. Let them burn themselves out trying to prove a point. You do not need to prove anything, because the strongest person in the room is not the one who talks the most. It is the one who listens, observes, and speaks only when it truly matters. Move in silence. Think strategically. Act when the time is right. This is how you win. The tree that stood against the storm. There was once a tree that stood tall on the edge of a cliff. The winds howled, the storms raged, the rains poured down with fury. Yet, the tree remained standing. Other trees fell, their roots unable to hold against the pressure. But this one, it never wavered. Travelers passing by marveled at its strength. "How do you not fall?" they asked. The tree simply stood firm, its roots deep in the earth, unshaken by the chaos around it. Strength is not avoiding the storm, it's standing tall in the middle of it. Life will test you. People will challenge you. Situations will shake the ground beneath your feet. The question is, will you bend? Will you break? Or will you rise above it all unshaken? Most people react to everything around them. Someone insults them. They get angry. They face failure. They lose confidence. The world doesn't go their way. They collapse. They are like leaves, blown in whatever direction the wind takes them. But then there are those who remain, still, unshakable, unmoved no matter what comes their way. They are not controlled by their emotions. They are not broken by circumstances. They have mastered themselves. And because of that, nothing can break them. The strongest people do not panic. Think about the strongest people you know. Are they the ones who panic under pressure? Are they the ones who complain when things get tough? The strongest ones are those who face adversity with calmness. Do not allow the external world to shake their inner foundation. Stand firm when others crumble. Life will throw difficulties at you. It will test your patience, your strength, and your belief in yourself. But you must not waver. When others doubt you, stand firm. When the path is unclear, keep moving forward. When the world tries to break you, smile and show that nothing, absolutely nothing, can shake your spirit. The wisdom of the unshakable mind. There is an old story of a wise man who lived in a village. No matter what happened, good or bad, he always remained calm. When people praised him, he did not become proud. When people criticized him, he did not become angry. When he lost something valuable, he did not despair. A young man asked him, "How do you remain so steady?" The wise man replied, "Because I do not allow the world to control me. I control myself." This is the secret to becoming unshakable, becoming truly unstoppable. The world will always be unpredictable. People will not always be kind. Situations will not always be in your favor. But your strength does not come from the outside. It comes from within. A mountain does not move because the wind blows against it. The ocean does not dry up because the sun is too hot. And you should not fall apart just because life gets difficult. Most people let their emotions control them. If they are happy, they feel powerful. If they are sad, they feel weak. But true power comes from stability. From knowing that no matter what happens, you will remain steady. If someone insults you, do not react with anger. If you face failure, do not collapse in disappointment. If things do not go your way, do not lose hope. Because the moment you let the outside world dictate your emotions, you become weak. But the moment you decide that nothing will shake you, you become truly powerful. There will be days when everything seems to go wrong. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. Obstacles will seem too big to overcome. But that is when you must remind yourself, you are stronger than this moment. You are bigger than your challenges. And no matter what happens, you will not be broken. Every legend was once tested. Every great person in history has faced criticism, doubt, unimaginable challenges, but they did not give in. They remained unshakable, and that is why they became legends. You do not have control over what happens to you, but you have control over how you respond, and that is where your power lies. Be like the tree that stands tall in the storm. Be like the mountain that does not move. Be like the ocean that remains vast and deep, no matter how many waves crash against it. You are not weak. You are not meant to be defeated by life. You are meant to rise, to stand strong, and to show the world that nothing, absolutely nothing, can shake you.